Wrestling with Dad. I used to watch wrestling with my dad. I was only 5, and I knew it was a boy thing, as my mom put it. But being able to spend time with my dad was all that was important to me. My dad and I would sit up and watch all the greats come on stage. I would bob my head to their theme songs and imitate all the moves, like the Boston Crab, the crossface, and the sharpshooter. My eyes were glued to the television for hours, watching The Rock, Stone Cold, and Hulk Hogan drop kick, punch, and throw around the other small time wrestlers in the ring. I screamed at the TV, "Oh yeah, woo, get 'em!" I was such a weirdo. But I loved wrestling because my dad loved it, and it was the most we had in common. One day, as I was about to head off to bed after a wrestling marathon with Dad, he came into my room and whispered, "Hey, guess what?" Slowly sitting up from my half sleep, I answered with a slow, "What?" "You know WrestleMania is next week, right?" he said. Now I was totally awake. "Yeah," I said. "Well," my dad answered proudly, "I got tickets." I was so excited, I could have jumped out of my pants with little effort. In school that week, I couldn't concentrate at all. Every 2 seconds, my eyes were staring up at the clock, wondering why time wouldn't just speed up already. I was so relieved when Friday night finally arrived and it was time to head off to the American Airlines arenas for the big show. My dad's friends, David and Maria, came with us and brought their teenage daughter, Susie. The whole way to the arena, my dad was bragging on the tickets. "These seats are probably the best in the house," he said. "Great view, comfy, the whole 9 yards." When we got to our seats, they were the farthest rows back and the highest level up, almost 2 miles away from the ring. The wrestlers looked like mini action figures. Still, I didn't feel my dad had let me down. Here we were together, doing what we loved. I watched intense action for so long really takes a toll on a 5-year-old's bladder. I tried holding it for as long as I could, but I didn't want to ruin my clothes. I pulled on my dad's arm and said, "Daddy, I have to pee. Please, Daddy, I really have to go." He didn't even take his eyes off the ring. He waved his arm at me and said, "Go with Susie." I didn't want to go to the bathroom with Susie. I didn't even know her. I wanted my dad to come with me. He was supposed to come with me. I hesitated for a moment whether to stay and risk an accident, but at that point, I didn't care. I just had to go. As I sat in the stall, I kept peeking out to make sure Susie was there waiting for me. Once I thought she wasn't going to leave, I used the restroom. When I came out the stall, Susie was gone. I was so scared. I looked all over the restroom for her. She was nowhere to be found. I walked around the arena for a bit, looking through each of the entryways to see if I could spot my dad. But he was nowhere in sight, and I was on the brink of tears. Why he had brought me here then left me in the care of a teenager? Where was he now when I needed him? I stopped and asked one of the workers at the concession stand if she knew where my daddy was. "Oh, sweetie, you lost?" the lady said. I nodded my head. "Well, who are you here with? Your dad? Where is he? What's his name?" I said, "His name is Daddy." The lady asked my name, but I could only tell her my name was Crystal. I was so scared I couldn't even remember my last name. She tried her best to help me out, but it was little use. I started to think that I was never going to see my daddy again. I went outside and sat on the steps of the arena with my hand on my chin and my elbows resting on my thighs. I cried for a good 45 minutes before my dad finally found me. "Oh my God, Crystal, I was so worried. Where were you? You scared me, girl." I was so happy to see him again. I couldn't explain what all had happened. All I wanted to do was bury my face in his chest. I just hugged him tight. I was happy my dad had found me, but at the same time, I still felt like I had lost him. I had lost the person who was supposed to protect me. After that day, I never watched wrestling again.